All right, so here we are, ready to go. Let's find ourselves in a comfortable seated position here on our yoga mat. I've got a block handy, and if you've got one at home or you've brought one with you, fantastic. If not, you don't need to necessarily. But I've been running a little bit more lately, so my hips are a little bit tighter than normal, so this feels really good to sit up. Now, as we begin our practice today, let's just take a nice full deep inhale and hold our breath for a minute. And then release with a sigh out your mouth. Kind of lean forward, really let that breath go. Take another deep breath in. Sigh. One more of these. Let's begin our Ujjayi breath. So breathe in and out through the nostrils. Put a little whisper in the back of your throat. Soften through your jaw. As you're ready to, let's place our palms together with hands to heart and invite you to consider what's in your heart today. And as we practice socially distanced, whether that we are online practicing, whether we are together but with plenty of space between us, let's focus on the ways in which we are nonetheless connected, if not so much in body, but in mind and spirit. And what yoga teaches us, since everything is connected to everything else, if we can be connected in one way, we can be connected in all ways. So let's celebrate all the ways that we can be connected through our goodwill toward one another, toward our good spirit deep within ourselves, understanding that real change, real revolution comes from within. And you're welcome to join me with an Om or just listen, but I want to start this practice with one Om. Let's inhale. So good. Put your hands on your knees. Start to lean over to one side, and as you inhale, lean your trunk forward and around, and as you exhale, move back and around. As you find a little bit of movement, keep your Ujjayi breath happening. Allow there to be some improvisation here. So you're going to be moving around and feeling into what feels right. This is kind of the discovery part of our practice, where we begin to discover where our comfortable limitations are, if there's any hang-ups or injuries. Kind of feel what our energy is like today. Good. I like it. And then, again, we're still kind of improvising here, but sooner or later, find your way to a hands and knees pose. And as you inhale, you're going to lean your chest forward, lift your tailbone up a bit, and as you exhale, round your tailbone, spread through your shoulder blades. Inhale again, lean your chest forward, and exhale, round your spine. Now, this could also turn into a little bit of a figure eight with your hips, right? You might toy around with like a kind of a thread the needle action. You could find your way into some downward facing dogs. Now, in a normal yoga class, normal meaning the old normal, I should say, where I teach a class, it wasn't broadcasted, I was just standing in front of people. Typically what I would do, the way I would teach, would be to normally stand and talk through poses. And while those of us who are viewing from home don't have the luxury of being able to see other people practicing, sure, you could listen to my voice, but I'm going to be doing a lot more doing of the poses while we've got this practice going. So FYI, everybody drop your left elbow down to the mat. You're on a hands and knees pose. Left elbow drops to the mat. Reach your right arm as far forward as you can. Begin to walk your right hand past your left fingers. Stretch with your right arm and rest your forehead on your left forearm. Then pretend like your right hand is kind of glued down to the mat and pull your right hip back. We're looking for a gentle, probably amazing feeling stretch here through the right side of the body. Keep your Ujjayi breath moving. Ease your way out of this thing. Come back to hands and knees pose. Or better said, right elbow to the floor, left arm reaches forward, and then start to walk your left hand toward the right side. As your forehead rests on your forearm, plant your hand to the mat, to the floor, whatever, and pull your left hip back to a place that feels amazing. I don't know about you, but my back loves this pose. I get this great, unique stretch down my side. Even the muscle that connects hip and ribs, the QL muscle, in addition to my lats, gets a really nice stretch here. Now come back to hands and knees pose. And if you haven't already, let's move into a cat-cow. So inhale, lean your chest forward, tailbone lifts. Perfect. Exhale, round your spine, draw your tailbone under. Very good. Inhale, tailbone lifts, sternum leans forward, and exhale, round your spine. Good. Neutralize. Squeeze your arms as if to press them toward each other. Curl your toes under, and with bent knees, lift your hips in the air for a really bent-kneed version of downward facing dog. And once you get there, we'll improvise in down dog. Draw your right heel down to the floor and left heel down to the floor as you begin to pedal your knees a little bit. And then when it feels right, find a comfortable down dog with knees maybe a little bit bent or whatever, depending on how flexible your calves or hamstrings are. I could be projecting simply because I'm pretty tight in both calves and hamstrings. So I'll keep my knees just a little bit bent here. I'm more interested in nice straight spine, straight arms. Now lift up on the tiptoes, tuck your tailbone, and roll all the way to a plank pose. Let's hold this pose. Your plank pose could be knees to the floor. Your plank pose could be knees off the floor. It's totally up to you. Lean forward onto your tiptoes, bend your elbows, and slowly lower to chaturanga. So as you inhale, roll your shoulders back. Cobra pose. This is going to be a dynamic cobra. You're going to inhale and lift. Beautiful. Lower back down on the exhale. Inhale again, roll shoulders back. Cobra. But then as you exhale, lower back down, belly, chest, chin to the mat. And I'm just kind of using the shoulders as the driver to pull myself gently up. Perfect. And back down. Nice, everybody. Good. Inhale. Now, next time you come up into Cobra, pause and turn your head slow motion side to side. Awesome. I hear that breath. It's good, everyone. Neutralize as you come back down, either through hands and knees or through upper push-up. Come back into a downward facing dog pose. As you look up to your hands, inhale, step your left foot up between your hands and drop your right knee all the way to the mat and put yourself into this kneeling lunge position. Right knee's on the floor. Lean your sternum forward. Just a little stretch in the groin here. Now I like to put my right foot toenail side down here, and I'll put a little bit of pressure on the foot pressing into the floor, and that kind of punctuates that stretch a bit. Next, put your right palm to the floor and just do an easy twist as your left arm reaches up toward the sky. Yeah, nice. It feels great to have people in a room practicing. You can actually get some biofeedback as to like what's going on. Typically, I'm just kind of teaching to the phone, and you're like, I don't know what people are doing over there. For all I know, they're like petting their cat, eating some toast. Okay, both hands back to the mat. Step back into a downward facing dog pose. I guess the advantage of doing yoga at home is you can now do yoga with your cat. Okay, lift up, roll into plank pose, inhale. And as you exhale, again, lower down to chaturanga. This time, let's move up into a Sphinx Pose. Just pop up on your elbows, palms spread wide, and pull your elbows as if you're going to try to pull them toward your hips. So there's a little bit of arms and shoulder strength to lengthen your sternum. The feeling is like your sternum is lifting up toward the ceiling. At the same time, your elbows are pulling toward your hips. And again, this is just me, but I feel a nice release in the shoulders when I do a little turn side to side of the head. Yeah, let's press back into downward facing dog pose. After 2 or 3 breaths in down dog, look up to your hands, step your right foot forward, touch your left knee down to the mat, and enjoy a little bit of a stretch. Again, put the dorsal side of your foot, so top of the foot down to the mat, press gently down into the mat, and lean your sternum forward a little bit. Yeah, looks good. After a few breaths here, plant your left palm to the mat and just easy twist. Reach your right arm up toward the ceiling. With your exhale, both hands come back down to the mat. Step your left foot forward to meet your right foot. With fingertips on the floor, or your hands on a block. You could even put hands on thighs if you want. But what you're going to do here is as you inhale, you're going to drop your hips to be about as low as your knees. As you look forward, draw shoulder blades together. So you're in this high squat position. Straighten up your legs, fold forward slowly as you round your spine. Inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Excellent. Fold forward, round your spine. Now you'll notice that as you inhale, draw your shoulder blades together, your spine's going to go really straight and your knees are going to go bend. Conversely, on the exhale, your legs go straight and your spine bends. Inhale as you bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, straighten your legs, fold forward. One more time. A little blood flow through some of these major muscles, some movement through the joints. Now, with a micro bend in your knees, open your arms like wings, and also with a straight spine, stand all the way up, reach toward the sky. Little micro back bend. And exhale with your hands together, back to heart, okay? So let's do some classical sun salutations here. I invite you to bring your feet together, hands to heart, okay? And I'm going to do this with you, but I'm going to be facing forward here. So you're going to inhale with your hands forward and up to the sky with a little arch in your back. And as you exhale, dive forward. We'll go nice and slowly. Inhale, step your right leg back, touch your right knee down to the mat, and just hang out again in this kneeling lunge position. Okay, so this is a low lunge. All 10 fingers touch the mat, your right knee, right toes touch the mat. Now from here, it looks perfect, everyone. Plant your palms and slide your feet back into a down dog, but the inside knuckles of your big toes touch. Lift up onto tiptoes, tuck your tail and roll forward into plank pose. Kind of different chaturanga. You're going to bring your knees to the mat, keep your butt in the air, drop sternum and chin to the floor. I'm glad we mopped these floors. And then drop the hips as your shoulders roll back into Cobra. And down dog, exhale. Now with an inhale, you're going to look up to hands and step left foot up between your hands. Drop your right knee back to the mat. Very good. Now you're going to do this big step. So you're going to lean into your left leg. Right foot takes a big step forward to meet your left. Inside edge of big toes touch again. Swing your hands forward and up to the sky. Little arch in your back. And as you exhale, bring your arms parallel to the floor and back to your heart. Okay, so here goes left side. Forward and up, big inhale. Dive forward, exhale. Step your left leg back to a kneeling lunge position for a few breaths, at least this first time around. Look strong, everybody. You look like you've been practicing yoga. This is good. Even if it isn't true, it's good. Plant your palms, step back into a downward facing dog pose, feet together. Lift up onto tiptoes, roll forward to plank. Inhale and exhale, touch knees, chest, chin to the mat. Drop your hips. Now keep your toes curled under as you roll up into Cobra pose. It's kind of a weird feeling Cobra. And lift back into down dog on the exhale. Inhale, look forward, step right foot up between hands. Left knee down to the mat. And do that big step. So you lean into right foot as left foot takes a big step forward to meet your right foot. Touch your thumbs as your arms swing forward and up to the sky with little arch in your back, and then arms parallel to the floor with hands back to heart. Okay, so we got the sequence down. Now we're going to kind of like move through one breath per movement. We're going to go fluid, not frantic, right? So, we're not in a race here, but we're going to kind of go one pose per breath, all right? Breath or two here as you inhale and exhale, connect in with what's going on in your heart today, and from that place is where we're going to move forward. Okay, so nice and slowly. On your inhale, reach your arms forward and up, arch your back slightly. With an exhale, dive forward. Step your right leg back to a kneeling lunge. Inhale. Exhale, plant into down dog. Roll into plank. Inhale. And exhale, touch knees, chest, chin to the mat. Cobra, inhale, roll your shoulders back. Exhale, lift back into downward facing dog. Look forward, step left foot up between hands. Touch right knee down to the mat. Take a big step, so right foot comes forward to meet the left. Very nice. Swing your arms forward and up to the sky with a little arch in your spine. And exhale, hands back to heart. Fantastic. Here we go again. Left side, arms up to the sky. Dive forward, exhale. I love it. Left leg steps back, kneeling lunge position. Plant your palms, slide back to downward facing dog pose. Roll into plank, inhale. Touch knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra, inhale. Remember to keep the toes curled under. Yeah, nice. Downward facing dog, exhale. Right foot steps forward, inhale. Left knee touches. And exhale, left foot comes forward to meet the right. Stand all the way up, inhale, reach to the sky. And exhale, hands together, back to heart. Here we go again. Forward and up, inhale. Dive forward, exhale. Right leg back, inhale, kneeling lunge. Left foot to down dog, exhale. Roll to plank, inhale. And knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra, inhale. And down dog, exhale. Left foot forward, inhale. Right foot follows, exhale, nice. Stand all the way up, inhale, reach to the sky. And as you exhale, hands back to heart. Last time, last side, here we go. Forward and up, big inhale. Dive forward, exhale. Step lefty back, kneeling lunge. Righty to down dog, exhale. Roll to plank, inhale. And knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra, breathe in. And downward facing dog, exhale. Right foot steps forward between the hands, inhale. Left knee touches. And exhale, step your left foot forward to meet your right. Stand all the way up, big breath. And hands back to heart. Take a deep breath into the nostrils. Send this out your mouth. Again. Last one. Now go into Ujjayi breath, slow whisper breath here. After a few Ujjayi breaths, we're going to hold chair pose Utkatasana. Allow your shoulder blades to kind of settle down your spine a little bit. Place your right hand to your right hip, put your left hand to the outside of your right knee, and twist. For a little bit deeper twist, put your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh, and hands in prayer position. End up in a forward fold pose on your exhale. Really nice, everybody. Good. Move back into chair pose as you breathe in. Simple twist to the left, either one hand to hip, the other hand to knee, or a deeper twist with hands together, prayer position. Either way, try to keep your knees in line with one another. So you might kind of look down to your right knee and pull your right hip back enough so that your knees are in line. Good. Last breath in, and as you exhale, back to forward fold pose. Okay, so inhale, come up to a flat spine, step back into plank pose and lower back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Cobra or up dog, inhale, and downward facing dog, exhale. Now, I invite you to raise your right leg in the air to a three-legged dog. Put a little teeny bend in your left knee, unless you're muy flexible in your left hamstrings and calves, in which case you can bring your foot to the floor. But if you're just a little bit tight, maybe the way I am, a little bend in the knee leverages your thigh bone right into your hip socket. It really creates an integrated position. From here, pull your right knee to your chest, hold the position,
as you roll your spine most of the way into a plank pose. Your forehead might even come toward your knee. As you breathe in again, send your right leg up in the air. Put a little bit deeper bend of your left leg, and you're going to use that to spring your right foot all the way forward toward your right thumb. Keep your left heel high, and inhale, raise your arms toward the ceiling into Crescent Lunge Pose. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through some poses. We're going to first move through them slowly, build a little sequence in our head, and then we'll run through it a couple of times. Hands to the floor as you exhale. Either slide straight into downward facing dog pose or roll through a vinyasa, that is to say Cobra, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Catch up with your breathing for a few breaths here in downward facing dog. And when it feels right, raise your left leg in the air. Perhaps put a little bend in your right knee. Mindful that your left hip doesn't drop lower than your right, that your shoulders stay square. Now, straighten up your right leg, lean forward halfway to plank, pull your left knee toward your chest, and hold that pose. Make your way back to a three-legged dog. Inhale, step your left foot all the way up to your left thumb. Keep your right heel high. And raise your arms upward toward the sky here for Crescent Lunge. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, hands to the floor again. Slide straight to down dog or move through a vinyasa. It's your call. Good. 4 or 5 breaths here in a downward facing dog. Bending your knees, look up to your hands. With an exhale, walk or hop feet to hands. Inhale to a flat spine. Fold forward on your exhale and move into chair pose, Utkatasana. Dive forward again on your exhale, Uttanasana. Flat spine, breathe in. Step or float to Chaturanga. Cobra or up dog as you inhale. Downward facing dog on exhale. Now right leg lifts in the air, left knee bends, and this time step your right foot to the outside of your left hand. Fallen triangle. You're going to drop to the inside of left foot. Whether or not your foot is big is totally subjective. Nonetheless, plant your left hand back to the floor. Come back to a three-legged dog as you inhale. And step your right foot up between your hands, closer toward your right thumb. Left heel stays high as we raise our arms now for Crescent Lunge position. And this time you're going to bend your elbows as you open up your chest. Lift your chin a little bit. Beautiful, everyone. Feels so good to do yoga poses with people in the room. This is incredible. Love it. I forgot what that was like. Such great energy in the room. Raise your arms back to the sky. Exhale, hands to the floor. Your choice, down dog or vinyasa. Lefty's going to lift on the inhale, a little bit in the right knee. Step your left foot to the outside of right hand and drop to the inside edge of right foot. Fallen triangle on this side. Both legs are straight and strong. Keep in control of Ujjayi breathing, everybody. Plant your hands back to the mat. Three-legged dog on the inhale. As you exhale, step it forward. Crescent lunge. Inhale. And bend elbows. Exhale. Yeah, beautiful. Raise your arms back to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor. Slide it either through a vinyasa or go straight into a downward facing dog pose. But when you get there, we're going to hang in down dog for 5 or 6 breaths. Bend your knees deeply, look forward to your hands. Hop, walk, or step, feet to hands. Inhale to a flat spine. Fold forward again on your exhale. Move back into chair pose. Okay, now this time, pick up your left ankle, put it on top of your right thigh. And we're going to meet sort of chair pose meets hip opener meets balance pose. Just standing figure 4 stretch. There's a lot going on here, namely balance. So find one spot on the floor that you can look at. Keep your gaze on that one spot. That's one of the kind of secrets to help keep your balance. When you've had a good run, place both feet to the floor, rest in a forward fold pose. Now, if you've just done something that's a little bit strenuous, whether it's Sun Salutations or whatever, the key is a nice solid exhale. Get all that old breath out. That'll give you a nice long inhale, and in a couple of breaths, you'll feel totally recovered, right? Rather than trying to kind of go into panting. Move back to chair, inhale. Cross right ankle over left thigh. And find your way into this seated chair pose, so seated figure 4 stretch. Arms can do whatever they want to here, really. We're kind of focusing on lower half. So if that's resting forearms to thighs or bringing elbows to right angles, whatever. Some people will even interlace hands behind them and open up your chest. When you've had a good run, both feet come back to the floor and we'll relax again back into standing forward fold. Now, as you breathe in, come up to a flat spine. Make your way through a vinyasa or meet me in downward facing dog pose. Raise your right leg in the air on an inhale. We're going to do this sort of step and turn. You're going to step your right foot forward between your hands. Turn to the left. As you straighten your right leg, bend your left knee into Skandasana. Now there's 2 versions. You can keep your right foot to the floor. Version 1 gets more of the soleus, the outside calf muscle. Or version 2, where you externally rotate your thigh so that your toes point up toward the ceiling. Very nice. Walk your hands back to the front of your yoga mat. Step back, downward facing dog pose, or move through a vinyasa. Raise your left leg in the air on an inhale. And then as you exhale, step left foot forward between hands. It's kind of a step and turn. So now we're turning to the right. Bend your right knee as you straighten your left heel. Or straighten your left leg. Maybe turn your left heel open toward the sky. Left toes point up is really what I mean. Now you might notice I'm reaching my hands forward as a way of keeping my balance in this pose. Okay, you might find benefit with that. And then walk your hands back to the front of your yoga mat into a high lunge. On your way back into downward facing dog or move through a vinyasa. Four or 5 breaths here in downward facing dog. Now, we've been putting together some poses. We've created these little micro sequences. And we're going to put them together in a moment. So after that, we're going to give ourselves a really nice rest. So stay strong with me here for a few moments. Bend your knees a bit. Walk, step, or hop feet to hands. Flat spine, inhale. And fold forward, exhale. Bend your knees, drop your hips as you move back into chair pose. Now pick up your left ankle again, put it on top of your right thigh. And you're either going to do the exact same thing where we just hang out here in our standing figure 4 balance, or we're going to add a twist to the mix. So your left hand could go into the sole of the left foot, right hand to hip, or maybe you can squeeze your left elbow to rest in the sole of your foot, hands in a prayer position, or Open your arms like wings. Right arm to the sky, left hand to the floor. Ease your way out of this thing. Bring both feet to the floor. So I call this a compound pose, meaning we've got a bounce, we've got a hip opener, we've got a twist. You know, all these things happening, right? So stop at whatever degree feels good. Pick up your right ankle, put it over your left thigh. This might be all you need in a great practice today. If you're close to a wall or something, you can even put your hand on a wall. Hold yourself here. If you want to try the twist, gentle twist with right hand to the sole of right foot, left hand to hip, or elbow moves to the sole of your foot. This is my good side. If you ever see a photo of me in this pose on Instagram, you'll notice that it's this side that's doing it because the other side is the crappy side. Good. Bring it back. Neutral, feet to the floor. Beautiful. End up in a forward fold pose. Nicely done. Good. A couple of breaths here. Now we're going to give ourselves just a couple of breaths of relaxing here in our standing forward fold pose because we're going to start to put this sequence together. It's not like it's huge, but nonetheless, it will take a little bit of energy. Right? So inhale, come up to a flat spine. Step our float to chaturanga or straight to downward facing dog, your call. If you go through vinyasa, great. I'll meet you in down dog. Now right leg lifts, left knee bends. Right knee to chest, exhale. Right leg lifts, left knee bends. Fallen triangle, right foot to the outside of left hand. Inhale, raise your left arm to the sky. Beautiful, everyone. Hands to the floor, three-legged dog. Inhale. Here comes the step and turn. Right foot forward between hands. Turn to your left and open up. Okay, new pose. You're going to walk your hands back to the front of your yoga mat, swinging your right elbow underneath and around your calf muscle. Lift your right heel high up off the floor and lean forward. Plant your hand to the mat, and you're going to lean forward into twig pose, variation of stick, as you pick up your left foot up off the floor. Yeah. If you want to also bring up your right toes off the floor, great. Kind of a ninja move. Ease your way back out. Downward facing dog. Nice. Threw a curveball at you. You guys can hang. You're cool. Left leg lifts, right knee bends. Left knee to chest, exhale. Left leg lifts, right knee bends, inhale. Fallen triangle, exhale. Inhale, raise your arm to the sky. Exhale, right hand back to the floor. Three-legged dog. Inhale, step and turn. Exhale. Inhale, open up into Skandasana. Walk your hands back to the front of your yoga mat. Hook your elbow around your calf. Lean forward and pick up your right foot. If you want, you could also pick up left toes off the floor. Make your way back to three-legged dog. Optional vinyasa. Regular down dog, 4 or 5 breaths. If it serves you, take a breath or two out your mouth with a sigh. And then let's come to a well-deserved child's pose. If you prefer to do a hands and knees cat-cow position or something instead, great. Really nice. All right, make your way up to Vrajasana. So we're just going to come to a kneeling pose where you're kneeling down, sitting back on your heels. I'm just going to roll through the wrists here a little bit. Okay. Now, if this is just not so awesome on hips or ankles or knees, sit in any comfortable thing, because really what I'm working for is upper body, wrists, and stuff. Okay. If you do have a block, sometimes what I'll do, I'll sit on a block or something like that. Okay. So check this out. You're going to reach your arm straight forward, cross your left arm over your right. Turn so your palms face each other as you clasp your hands. And then your hands come down toward your navel, forward. And right about there, I get a great stretch, particularly on my left wrist. Right? Some people can straighten their arms more than this.
I would probably simultaneously break both ulna and radius at the same time, the two lower arm bones. You can do a brain teaser and try to make your fingers move. Okay, and then release, hands. So the right hand goes on top this time, and your palms face each other as they bring back forward and through, okay? If you happen to know anybody who works on a computer for more than like 15 seconds a day, I don't know, does anybody? Yeah. You can maybe suggest this to them as a great way of remedying all this kind of stuff that we do a lot, you know what I mean? Good, and then release. Arms wide, left arm on bottom, right arm on top for eagle arms. As the elbows lift, press, squeeze elbows toward each other, and then try to press them away from your chest. And again, do this little turn of your head side to side. Release. Right arm on bottom this time as you wrap up into eagle arms. Now, I failed to mention this on the other side, but you could alternatively just bring your hands to your shoulders, or if you had a strap handy, you could hold onto a strap as you do this as well. Again, if it serves you, turn your head slowly side to side. Really nice. Release this. Come to a hands and knees pose. Palms down to the floor with your fingers pointing toward your knees. Bend your elbows slightly and lean back in the direction of your heels until you feel a good stretch here in your forearms and wrists. Everybody has different aptitude for this depending on what kind of chemistry you're holding wrists and elbows and shoulders. If there's any tennis elbow or tendonitis, that kind of stuff, that'll all play a part of this. You know, if you're a professional drummer or a massage therapist or something like that, you're using your hands in that way. Maybe you've just been picking a lot of weeds in the garden. I don't know. All of that will affect this part of you. All right, so release, shake it out. Next, I want to come to a toe balance. So what you're going to do is curl your toes under, and with your feet together, come to a toe balance, and you can stay here in the preliminary version of this pose. You're hanging out in the toe balance with your fingertips to the floor. You might bring one hand up, and if it serves you, bring both hands up, okay? Heels are not touching. And if that doesn't work for your feet, I'm more interested in kind of this upright thing because we're going to move this as a preliminary pose. You can just hang out here on your knees. Or alternatively, you could also even do like a squat pose like this, okay? Perfect, yeah, exactly. Okay, we're going to meet in downward facing dog in the next couple of moments. When you're ready to, put your palms back to the mat. Come to down dog, and again, put dorsal side of your foot down. So right toenail side of the foot down to the mat. Get a stretch at the top of the foot, the shin. You might even roll over under the pads of the toes and then back over on the knuckles of the toes and kind of move back and forth that way a few times. Switch sides, so the left foot comes toenail side down, dorsal side down. You might even try a couple of the roll over under the pads of the toes, back over on the knuckles as you kind of move through the toe joints. Very good. And then I want to move into a crow pose. So let's move into a squat pose, Malasana, like so. If you do have a block handy, you can even hang out here with, block under your sitting bones, something like that. If you want, okay? So I want to move to crow pose, and we're going to move eventually to side crow, all right? Now, I'm more interested in the principles that underlie the poses than ever arriving in the pose. We're practicing principles in the form of poses. So what we're going to do here is just put our palms to the mat, lift your hips up, lean onto your elbows, and squeeze inner thighs to elbows, and that's our pose. That might be as far as we get in the pose. Inner thighs squeezing into outer triceps, right? It could work for you to lean forward a little bit more so you're light on your toes, maybe even to the point where your big toes come up off the ground into Bakasana. Now, a secret in this pose is to look forward rather than down. That kind of pitches your weight just a little bit forward. This is more of a balance pose than a strength pose. Yeah, nice, good. And when you come back down, roll through the wrists a little bit. See, that's why we're doing all that wrist prep, because this can be a little bit intense. Okay, now watch this happen once. We did it, we'll watch it, and we'll do it again. Now, the muscles that I'm using to hold this pose are inner thighs, so those squeeze in, as I press elbows back into thighs, those two pressing against each other creates a great stability, and I'm also going to engage my core. And then this is essentially a teeter-totter, the fulcrum point being the wrists. So I'm going to lean forward enough beyond the wrists. So I squeeze into elbows, elbows push back in the knees, lean forward beyond the fulcrum, and then this is just a balance. And I touch the toes together. Okay? Remember inner thighs. Okay? Let's give it another shot. Yeah, beautiful. You can start to straighten your arms a bit if that feels like it's a comfortable kind of your next level. Beautiful. Excellent. That's it, awesome. Perfect. Good. All right, so from here, we're either going to do a kneeling twist or a toe balance twist. Okay, toward the left, in preparation toward Parsva or side crow pose. So a kneeling twist pose, right? And you can hang there, or a toe balance twist. Eventually, you're going to put your right elbow to the outside of left thigh. Good. That's excellent. And either that's your pose, or put your palms down to the floor about as wide as your shoulders as you prepare for side crow. Okay? Side crow isn't your jam. Try this kneeling twist where you're just, finding your way into a kneeling version of the pose. The principles are twisting the trunk. Okay? At least one of the principles we work on is twisting the trunk. Okay? And then we'll relax. Okay, so watch this happen again. I'm starting off in a toe balance. I'm just doing a twist through the trunk. Perhaps my elbow goes all the way to my thigh. If I choose to move into the arm balance version, my hands are going to go wide, as broad, if not broader than my shoulders. I'm still looking forward and using my side abdominal muscles. I'm going to pick my feet up. Some people choose to pull their elbow into their hip to do this pose, right? And that might give you an extra little bit of support. Yeah, beautiful. And you could straighten your top leg back, bottom leg out, nice. Excellent. Okay, resting pose, let's come back. Whatever feels good, whether that's Vrajasana here or a seated pose, roll around through your wrists. This is kind of nice. Interlace your fingers and kind of move your hands forward. Good. Let's come to a lying down on our back pose, everybody. Really, really good stuff. We're going to neutralize for a moment here in Happy Baby. So thighs go wide. Just point the soles of your feet up toward the ceiling and either hold the backs of your legs or reach up and grab the soles of your feet. See if you can ground your tailbone back to the mat, shoulder blades back to mat. A couple rounds of deep breath. From here, I want to move into a little bit of a hip opener. So either cross your right ankle over your left thigh in a figure 4 stretch, which will hopefully feel amazing. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, then cross right thigh over left thigh for our Supta Gomukhasana, or supine cow face pose. This is a little bit deeper stretch, so if you don't quite feel a stretch in the figure 4, you might go for this one. But I still want to make sure that my shins are relatively parallel to the floor here. In both versions, I want my toes flexed back toward the shin. Yeah, it looks good, really good. Good, switch sides. Maybe you throw in a couple of breaths of Happy Baby in between. But eventually, we'll meet back in either our figure 4 stretch or supine cow face pose, Supta Gomukhasana. I like to say that poses are just tools. You got to use the right tool for the job, right? The same way finished carpenter isn't going to tack in baseboards using a sledgehammer because it's the cooler, more, massive tool to use, right? The same way we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the right tool for the job, even if it's not what,
what looks the most magnificent. Okay, so if you haven't already, switch sides with this other hip stretch, either for figure 4 or for Supta Gomukhasana. A couple more rounds of deep breath. We're going to release, place both feet to the mat. With your hands on your belly, take a couple rounds of deep breath. Just fill your belly with breath. Long exhale out the nostrils. Rest your hands on the floor, turn your palms open toward the ceiling, and begin to walk your shoulder blades together. This is our preparation for bridge pose. Now, first you might want to reach down so that your fingertips almost touch your heels or literally touch the heels. Hug lower back down into the floor first so your tail grows long. And as you push the balls of your feet down to the floor, lift your tailbone slowly up into bridge. Lift your chin slightly toward the sky as your shoulder blades walk together. Then interlace your fingers as you open up your chest. Take deep breaths in and out through nostrils. Lift up a little bit higher with your hips here. And as you exhale, release your hands and lower back down, vertebra by vertebra. Either just pull your knees back to your chest for a little rock side to side, or move again into happy baby pose. From here, hug your right knee to your chest, extend your left leg out straight, and you're resting your left leg on the floor, holding your right knee. You're going to hold your right knee with your left hand and twist to the left, look to the right. So you'll notice we've done a lot of twisting in our practice today, and it's going to be a great way to help open up our spine. Twisting for twisting's sake, but as one of the great side benefits to twisting is it makes a more mobile spine in all ways. So we're going to maybe do a little deeper heart opener next time. Okay, so bring this back to neutral. Place your right leg out straight to the floor, left knee to chest. Hold on to your left knee with your right hand, and then twist over to your right side, looking toward the left. I don't know about you, but my back loves this. It feels incredible. Good. Neutralize, bring this back to middle. Place both feet to the floor with your knees bent as we prepare either for another bridge pose, unless this time you want to move into a full back bend, Urdhva Dhanurasana, okay? Either way, let's start off in bridge. So reach your fingertips down toward your heels, walk your shoulder blades together, and before you lift, hug your lower back down to the floor. It feels kind of awkward, but you get long lower back. Push down through the balls of your feet as you lift your sacrum up off the floor, full in bridge. Walk shoulder blades together and interlace your fingers into bridge. Even if you're going to go further than bridge, start off in bridge. Find some freedom in your neck with a little lift of your chin. This might be your pose. Mission accomplished. We'll hang here. This is the right tool for the job. If you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, put your hands up by your shoulders. Point your fingers out in either direction, so they're kind of pointing away from your shoulders. Press up under the top of your head, and then press down through the balls of your feet as you begin to open up your chest. Set your arm bones back in their joints, and then press up into full back bend, if that's where you're going today. Bend your feet so the toes point forward. Whenever you feel like you've had a good run with that pose, ease your way back to the floor, whether that's from bridge or whether that is from full wheel pose. Settle for a couple of breaths, and then again, let's find ourselves one more time, either to happy baby pose or to just knees to the chest as you rock side to side. Good, nicely done, everybody. Beautiful. Roll up to a seated pose, everybody. And let's start with left leg extended straight forward. Send right ankle to the outside of your left thigh. And the first version of this twist, variation of Ardha Matsyendrasana, you're going to hug your left elbow around your right knee, pull this into your chest, put your hand under the mat and sit up nice and straight and just do a gentle twist. Good. Yeah, the legs are right. It's awkward because typically when I teach in a classroom setting, I'm mirroring what you're doing, and now I'm actually doing the right and you're doing the right. So it's kind of confusing. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, then take your extended leg, bend it like this, and put your elbow all the way to the outside of your thigh. Yeah. Good, Allison. Then in your legs, yeah, perfect. Just in a twist toward that way. You got it. Beautiful, love it. Now, as you bring this back to neutral, keep your legs where they are and slide your knees together for seated version of Gomukhasana, okay? And if your hips are like, this was not in my astrology chart this morning, right? Try maybe seated figure 4 pose instead, okay? Either way, hopefully I'll get a nice stretch here to the muscles of the outside of the hips. I get it in both hips, but particularly the one that's on top, and then I'll lean forward a little bit.
The legs should be more parallel than back.
Yeah, I mean, or that's the way to gauge it, right? The heels closer to the hips is going to be a little less intense, and you might start there, but then it'll be more intense as the shins become more parallel to the front line of your mat. Yeah. Also, keep in mind, too, that there's a lot of factors here. Not only is it how flexible I am through these piriformis muscles in my hips, but also how deeply set my leg bones rest in their hip sockets. You know, the ability to be able to cross one leg over the other, right? So there's a lot of things here. Take it to whatever degree feels good. We're going to lean back on our sacrum and just kind of neutralize in sort of a paddle boat thing with right leg on the floor, left ankle over the outside of right thigh. Now, option 1, I'm just going to hug right elbow around left shin, sit up tall, and find a gentle twist. And if that's everything, that's exactly what you feel like is perfect for you today. Hang out right here. If you want to take it a little deeper, then take your extended leg and bend your knee, pull it in toward you some, and cross your right elbow to the outside of your thigh. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Nice. Good, as straight as you can through your spine. Think of sitting bones rooting into the mat, crown reaching straight up toward the ceiling, creating a nice vertical axis around which you're twisting a little bit deeper with every exhale, only to the place that feels comfortably intense. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Okay, neutralize as you come back to center, and then squeeze your knees closer together. What I'll do is actually put my hands to the floor, do a little lift, and kind of scoot my hips back more toward the middle. And frankly, I get a really good stretch just hanging out right here. If you feel like you wanted to go deeper by leaning your trunk more forward, excellent. And remember also, left leg is on top this time, so you might even choose this seated figure 4 position that we've done in a couple different iterations over the course of our practice today. Looks good. Maybe 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then at the end of those 2 or 3 breaths, unwind your legs, kind of neutralize through hips. And since we're here for good measure, why don't we just lift up into a full-on boat pose for a couple of breaths.
Good. I love it. Some people got the legs straight, arms straight business. Those are the people who had way too much caffeine this morning, right? I celebrate you. I salute you. Okay? You got to choose when you feel like you're boated out, roll down to your back, arms wide, and just make circles, slow motion circles with the knees. If you've got a very sensitive back, you could hold on to your knees as you do this. Now, typically, or I would say we'll often end our yoga practice with some twists. We just did a bunch of twists. If you feel like you would like to twist again, drop your knees over to the left, look to the right for a few breaths over the left side. Better said, I want to offer just a few moments where you can do some improvisation for your yoga practice. So we're going to be winding down here in Shavasana in a moment. So if there's something that your body knows it wants to do to finish up, take your time to do that, right? If you know you've got an inversion in you, shoulder stand or headstand, handstands, whatever you got, great. If you want some twists, wonderful. If you feel like what you really like is just extra Shavasana, we'll meet you there. In the next minute or so, I invite you to, if you need a counter pose, go for it. If there's any other poses you need to do to kind of arrange before we end up in our Shavasana, do whatever you need to do to kind of get in prepared for that. And I'm going to invite you to come to a comfortable, relaxing position. Shavasana is you lie down on your back, hands about as wide as your mat, legs a little bit wider. Take your time getting there. We're in no rush. And some people kind of feel like, they're in this great energetic space, and they might even be better served by maybe even doing a seated meditation in lieu of Shavasana, which is fine. Take your time getting into your resting pose, whether that's a seated position or whether that's a lying down Shavasana position. But I want to transition from the doing part of our being to just the observer part of our being, right? So if you need to send a sigh out your mouth as a signal to let go, do it. And as you listen, open up this idea of listening to not only your what you can hear, but what you can feel in your body, how your energy feels after this practice. Notice, for example, what your thoughts are doing, etc. Now I brought my clarinet today. I'm going to play a little music, and just notice what the music evokes in you, what comes up spontaneously and naturally, and let you just relax and just be present. None of it's good or bad. It's all just information. So nice, everybody. Start to breathe into your belly again. Move fingers and toes. And then as you're ready to roll over to one side, if you're not already, come up to a seated position. And we'll rest again, either with our hands at our knees or hands together at heart. If you care to join me here at the end of our practice, we'll finish with the sound of Om one time. Breathe in. Namaste.